You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again, and today we have a special guest. We have music artist, singer, songwriter, producer. I mean, I'll probably give him titles that he didn't thought he was going to get right now on the show, but we have the one and only David Arn, and we're going to be talking about a special project that is doing great right now on radio and just on iTunes. First of all, I just want to pause and say, David, how are you doing? And welcome to the show.
Shamaya, thanks so much. It is such an honor for me to be here today. Thank you.
First and foremost, let me tell people where they can go get this amazing project, davidarn.com. You can check out Traveler Tales. And something special about this is a singer, Ava Hart. She is going to really blow your mind because you listen to this project, is amazing. Mother's Day, The Mother's Tale.
Fighting an invisible war my prayers haven't seen before. In soft glow of moon.
I'm going to have David do the honors and talk about this song that he wrote, but Ava Hart sung, and tell the audience the backstory of this project.
Okay, I'm glad you're starting right there. You know, Traveler Tales is the name of the album, and what it is it's 14 songs, and it's by 14 travelers who are on a common journey, and each one is kind of relating their situation through song. So you have the father's tale, you've got the veteran's tale, and the one song. I do not sing all of the songs on the album. There were some songs from a woman's point of view, and I reached out to a good friend of mine and a performer by the name of Ava Hart, and we were collaborating, and I said, well, give me an idea for a song. What would you like me to write? And she said, I would like you to write a song for my son. She has a son who has autism. So I went back and I worked out a few ideas, and I brought a demo to her with the song on it and played it for her, and we sat there, listened to it, and I'll have to admit that just both of us were moved to tears as we heard it, and I just knew that was the right song for her. So we recorded that song, and we sent it over to Abbey Road, and Alex Wharton, who does a lot of Paul McCartney stuff, he engineered and mastered that song for us. And he sent me an email, and he said, she has a soulful aura. And she does. I mean, she just was able to personalize this song so much, and it really comes through when you hear it. And we had a video made for it. A Russian dancer by the name of Natasha Memphis made a video for it, and it's really had a very, very nice response. It was kind of different for me. You know, it was a very sensitive song. It's not the usual kind of thing I write, but it just one of those things. It just kind of seemed to happen, and I've been very, very pleased with the response. It's been getting radio airplay, even on some commercial stations right now, which is, as you know, for an independent artist, that's unusual that should happen. But we're full of hope for that song right now.
And once again, we're talking to David Arn, and like you said, it is doing well. It reached number 1 on iTunes alternative folk songs chart right in South Africa. So like you're literally all over the world. People are digging the song. So you talk about Ava Hart, and you talk about the story of the song and how it came about. Tell us the process of just being in studio, though, because we always hear on radio, we always hear about the song and the little summary, and then go on to the next questions, and the outro music starts playing. But tell the audience, though, the process. What was the process like when you were in studio, when you were writing, when things were being mixed and mastered? Tell us a little behind the scenes of that.
Well, when I start off, I have a home studio here. And when I'm working on a song, everything is done here. I play piano, I play guitar. And what I try to do is I try to nail down the arrangement as best I can. Try to get, what is going to be the best key for the singer, and what instrument's going to use, that kind of thing. I have some excellent people that I work with. And that's one of the secrets to my success, is that I always work with people who are much more talented than I am. And so on this particular album, you'll hear someone like Ian Smith, who's played with Gladys Knight and Sister Sledge and the Temptations, and he has a sax part on there. And there's background vocals on there by a woman by the name of Tyra Juliet, who has recorded with Pharrell and Ed Sheeran and Demi Lovato. So I'm working, I'm writing parts for people that have a lot of experience, and I know they're going to get it right the first time. What we do is we go ahead and we put it together. There's a recording studio. I'm in Virginia Beach. I'm on the East Coast, is where I live. And there is an excellent recording studio here, and an excellent engineer that I work with. We go ahead and we put it all together, and then I send the files over to England, over to London, over to Abbey Road, and we work on it there. I've actually had sessions there where I've gone over and worked with the engineers at Abbey Road, just trying to pick their brains and find out how to get the best sound out of it. And then it all goes down to a digital file. But I find that's the best process for me. I find, and I don't know whether you have the same situation, because I know you do a lot of music. But a lot of times I'll go ahead and I'll work on a song, and I'll think that that's the way it's supposed to be, and then I go ahead and I play it back. It doesn't sound quite right. On the current album, there's a song called "Not Amused," which is a rock song, is the way people hear it. But when I first recorded that, it started off as a waltz. It was not working, and then I just sat down one Saturday morning, sat down at the piano, and said, "Let me see if I can get this right." And I just played it, and just the way it came out, and I knew that was the way that it had to be. I can't say that there is a single path for how you make it work. I work with an excellent guitarist who is over in England. I've been over to see him several times, Tobias Wilson, who has been on hundreds and hundreds of songs. And he is one person I am deeply indebted to, because he has really helped me take the music to the next level. I can kind of work with him and say, okay, this is the idea. This is what I'm thinking about. And then we do a lot of stuff by email. I'll be here, and then he'll say, hang on a second, and come back 10 minutes later and say, what do you think of this? And I just kind of sit there and say, yeah, that'll do. It's absolutely going to be something wonderful, But that is basically the process of how we do it. And then I'm not someone who writes quickly, and I have to let it sit for a while to kind of let it marinate a little bit, to see when I come back to it if it's still as good as I think it is. A lot of times I get disappointed when I come back to a song. And in this case here, I had, for Traveler's Tales, I had Traveler Tales, I had 14 songs, which I kind of went through and said, okay, these 14 will work together. It's a concept. The album is a concept. I based it on a piece of medieval literature. Geoffrey Chaucer, back in the Middle Ages, wrote a classic work called Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, and that's where these people are all on a pilgrimage, and they're all telling their story. So I borrowed that vehicle in Traveler Tales, where I've got these 14 people that are all traveling together, and they're telling their story.
And once again, we're talking to true legend. I'm going to just say that because if people are not familiar with Abbey Road Studio, I mean, that is legendary right there. They're based in London, England, and I'm telling you, they do amazing work. So once again, we're talking to David Arn and about his amazing project and also about his amazing song that he collabed with Ava Hart. But I want to touch on the fact that the process of music is something that everyone gets to hear once it's finalized, right? But as far as the ones in the house, in the studios, in the innermost part of the crucial process, how is it like when you finally get that master and you listen to it for the very first time?
Well, you kind of get knocked out is what happens. I don't think people realize how much work goes into making 3 minutes worth of music. There's a lot of moving parts, and you have to put it together just right. And I don't really trust myself to go ahead and master the music myself, or even to engineer it. I try to get it as close as I can, but I really don't trust my ear, and I don't really trust my equipment that much, and that's why I send it out to work with professionals like Alex Wharton at Abbey Road, because when it comes back, I trust it. I know when I get that back and I listen to it that the stereo image is going to be right. I know that whether you listen to it in your car radio or you're listening to it on the best stereo system that's out there, it's going to sound right. And that's really important to me, to get that engineering correct, to make sure that it's not, I don't want to give people a reason to stop listening to it, if you know what I mean. I want to keep it going. But it's an amazing process. When you go through it, you never glaze over. It's kind of like, I remember the first time one of my songs was played on the radio up in Richmond, Virginia. I had sent my first album up there to a radio personality up there, and I received an email from him and said, "You're in the mix tonight." And when you go through that and you sit there and you're waiting for your song to come on, and it's when you hear it for the first time, it's a spiritual experience when you hear it. And I think it's the same way when you get those masters back. When it's all done and you put it together. On Traveler Tales, I actually worked on this for about 2.5 years, putting it together. And so when it's all done and you hear it for the first time and you see the reaction that you get from people on it, it kind of legitimizes what you do, if that's the right term for it.
And like you just explained, really great right there. It's like you have a car. I'm a metaphor guy. So it's like you have a car, but all these pieces, all these individuals have to do their part to put that car together. And it's not just any kind of car, because some cars are, cars, but, you got luxury cars as well. And that's the case when you're making music and you have all these great minds around you who have the same target as you. And that's to create something that makes people want to listen to it over and over and over again, because music lives beyond we do. So with that said, I really want to tell people once again that we're talking to David Arn and the amazing song Mother's Day, The Mother's Tale, that he collabed with Ava Hart. You can go to his website right now and find out all about Traveler Tales, the album, and that is davidarn.com. But before we let you go, because we're recording on Sunday, and I was told via text that a lot of people want to watch some football, so I'm not going to mess you all up either. But I'm going to try to take as many seconds I can from David, because this is a true once-in-a-lifetime opportunity having him on I Am Refocused Radio. David, when people are listening to this interview, especially when it comes to music artists, musicians, sound engineers, just the music community, because like we just discussed on the show, there's so many parts that makes the package. Take a moment and talk to the creatives out there. What advice do you have that you will give to them as far as how they can really develop their craft?
That's a tough question. I think the advice that I usually give people is that you have to decide what it is that you're going to do, and you have to show up every day. I know a lot of people that want to write songs, that they want to learn how to do this, but they're not willing to show up every day and do the work. And I think that's the hardest part of this. I do this full time, and it's just like going to the office, where at 9:30 every morning I am sitting in my studio here, and I'm working on music, or something that's music related. And I think what it is that you really have to have that kind of dedication to it. It's not something you can do one weekend a month or something like that. It's something that you always have to be concentrated on. And if you do that, it makes it so much easier because the ideas come at you. You see, the musical concepts come at you, and it just keeps the project rolling. I just find that I have to, once I get to that place, get to that bubble where I'm working, it's like everything else just kind of falls away, and I'm just concentrating on the music. And I think that's what makes it work. And as I said earlier, I think the other thing, too, is that I always try to work with people who are really good at what they do because they make me look good. I think that's one of the mistakes I made on my first album, is that I played all the instruments and tried to do all the parts. Mm-hmm. And I only sent that album out to friends. But you learn as you go through it that especially when you have someone else do the parts, that their gift comes through, their spirit and essence comes through on what it is that they give to you in the music. And what it does is that it takes the music to the next level, is what happens. And that's a process that I use. I'm not varying from that process because I just find out that works for me. And so any advice that I would give would be that if you're going to follow your passion, that you need to show up every day and you need to do the thing that you say you're going to do. There's a lot of people out there that like to talk about it. You really just have to do the things that you're going to do.
Like we say sometimes on the show, iron sharpens iron. So once again, talking to David Arn, U.S. singer, songwriter based in Virginia, and about his amazing work, his amazing project, the collab he did with Ava Hart, Mother's Day, The Mother's Tale. Go to his website. That is davidarn.com, davidarn.com. And don't forget, the music video is out. And you can find that on his website as well and on YouTube. But before we let you go, David, when people are listening to this and when they go check out your music, when it comes to newbies or just people who are still, old since day one fans, what is it that you want the listener to experience when they listen to your album? Well,
I think of myself as a storyteller, and each one of the songs tells a story. And what I would say that the 14 people that are on this journey together are there's a few broken people in there. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to write songs and I'm trying to tell stories where we have empathy for that particular individual, where we have empathy for the mother who is whose child has autism, where we have empathy for the veteran, or we have empathy for an ex-lover, or that kind of thing. And I think that's what comes through, is that I'm trying to evoke an emotional response in each one of the songs.
It's almost like this whole interview was like somebody was conducting it or something, because it was so smooth. I'm sorry, but for those who are in music, we'll appreciate that comment. But first and foremost, I want to thank David for being on the show today on I Am Refocused Radio. And before we officially sign off, what would you like to tell our listeners?
Well, I would just like to thank them very much for those people that have been listening and those people that go on social media and leave the comments. You have no idea how that affects me when I see comments that people leave. And I would just like to say thank you very much for that.
Like we say on every single show, but before I even say that line, let me plug in his website real quick. Go to davidarn.com. Once again, that's davidarn.com. Check out his album, Traveler Tales, and just share this podcast, share this amazing interview with all your music friends and people who, need to know about this, because it's you, the listener, that makes us who we are. So I want to take time to say thank you. But like we say on every single show, keep God first, stay focused, and peace.